Hi everyone and welcome to the Simple Knit podcast. My name is Elina and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Simple Knit Co. This is a podcast all about knitting, and if this is your first time checking me out, thank you so much. It's so lovely to see you, and if you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Hope you've all been keeping really well. Returning viewers will notice this is a bit of a different aesthetic and a different location. I'm filming this at about 6:15 on Thursday the 31st of January. Usually I try to record these podcasts on a Friday morning. I get every second Friday off of work, so that's kind of my designated podcast day. And I've been pretty good at regularly uploading, but this weekend, actually at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'm flying down to Melbourne for my auntie's birthday party. She's turning 80, which is very exciting. So that's kind of taking up my whole weekend. I won't really get a chance to film. So I still wanted to get something out for you before I go away. But yeah, so I'm filming this. Usually I film in the morning. I get really nice lighting up in my room in the morning. But yeah, the sun is... It's the summer, so we still have like maybe an hour of sunlight, probably less actually. But yeah, I did try to record this once before, sitting on my porch. Lighting was great, but yeah, there was wind, and I was like, no, that would drive me nuts. So I'm not going to force anyone else to sit there and try to listen to me over wind noise. I've come straight from work, so yes, bit of a different vibe. I've got myself a bit of an adult beverage. It's after 5, and still trying to drink through the stash of Christmas alcohol. So this is, I'm not usually a Han super dry kind of gal, but this is kind of the last of the Christmas dregs. So yeah, pour yourself a drink. Of whatever kind you like. I also haven't, even though I've recorded this podcast already today, I didn't do any kind of show notes or anything, so it's a little bit but I still wanted to get something out. So let's just dive right into the knitting, shall we? Which is what we're all here for. The first thing I hadn't cast on last time I recorded, but it is this lovely beret. Oh, there we go. It's not so bad. So this I knit for my auntie whose birthday it is. It was her actual birthday on Tuesday this week. It's her party on Saturday, and she asked me to knit her a wine-coloured beret. It's a little hard to see, but yeah, I knit this for her, and yeah, I'm really happy with how it turned out. She has a slightly smaller head than me, but it's definitely like a traditional beret style hat. Feeling very Madeline. But yeah, it's a pattern. The pattern I used was by Woolly Wormhead, and it's her mystery beret, or mere, because it was originally a mystery knit along. Now it's just a free pattern on Ravelry, and yeah, I'm really happy with it. It does have instructions in the pattern for where to add some repeats if you want it to be a bit more of a slouchy beret or a slightly bigger hat. But this kind of traditional beret vibe was what I was going for, and the decreases form this really lovely starry flowery pattern on the crown. So I'm really happy with this. My auntie's going to love it, which is the main thing. The yarn is a wool acrylic blend that I got at Lincraft. I believe it's their Vienna yarn from their European collection. But yeah, it wasn't the best. It was like knitting with a wool acrylic blend, but it does mean it's going to be really easy to take care of, and the colour is exactly what she wanted, so I'm really happy with that. Not really much else to say. It's a nice little pattern if you're looking for a beret, and it's blocked out really nicely. I keep finding bits of fluff on it that I guess are from the towel it was sitting on while it was drying. I'm gonna pick all those out before I wrap it. But yeah, a lovely beret for my auntie. The other main project that I have been working on, it will be no surprise to any returning viewers of the podcast. It is my Ginsberg Shrug by Nora Gorn. I'm knitting it as part of the Yarn & Co make along. which is for a yarn shop in Melbourne. If you want to hear me ramble about that, you can go back a few episodes. But yeah, I'm knitting this in Brooklyn Tweed Quarry in the Serpentine colourway. It's looking a bit blue. This wool's really throwing, oh no, actually that's a pretty good colour, but the wool might be throwing off my white balance a little bit. But yeah, so really the only way it's changed since you last saw it is that the these bits here that are the front panels have gotten longer. I'm more than halfway done with those. So these two bits are the fronts that kind of go up over the shoulders and down, and you knit them two at a time, picked up from stitches along the back piece. So the really great thing actually that I really like about this pattern is that it's kind of the same stitch pattern in the same chart for all the pieces, so for the back and the fronts. So you do the back piece and you're reducing stitches the whole time, so it just gets quicker and quicker, and then by the time you pick up these fronts, you've kind of gotten used to how the stitch pattern works, so it's really easy to kind of work out where you are and which bit you're up to, and you kind of don't have to look at the chart too much, which even for me, not a super experienced chart knitter, I don't have to look at the chart too much. So that's really great, and yeah, I'm just really stoked with how this is going. Even though it is so hot, it is so hot, it's so humid, it's disgusting. I feel like, yeah, just like constantly feel like a ball of sweat. But even though it is so hot and humid, I still am really highly motivated and have a lot of desire to keep knitting on this project. Even though at the moment I kind of have to sit with most of it like on my person, like it has to kind of sit on my lap while I'm working on it. I can kind of get it to sit beside me while I'm watching TV, but usually it's like on me, so it is quite a warm project to knit. But despite that, I'm still really like wanting to work on it all the time and really loving it. So I think that's just a testament to how psyched I am. It's going to be a really great addition to my wardrobe. I love the colour, and it's going to be kind of the perfect thing because it doesn't have long sleeves. It's going to be perfect for a Brisbane winter and really versatile. It'll look great, be able to wear it, I'll be able to get away with it at work, but I'll also be able to, like with jeans, it's going to be really cool over dresses and just really cozy. And yeah, be something that, one of those patterns that you'll be really psyched to tell people when people say, oh, I like your thing, like I knit it myself, because it just looks so cool. Just really loving it. So big thumbs up on the Ginsberg shrug from me. And yeah, I'm really loving that project. So, and kind of I'm just really enjoying the process of knitting it. Obviously, like I just have like a queue of projects that I can't wait to cast on, but I'm kind of motivated to keep working on it, not necessarily because I want it to be finished, which I do want it to be finished, but also I'm just really enjoying the process of it. I am definitely more of a process knitter than a project, like a product knitter. Definitely more of a process knitter. And this I'm definitely just like, I just want to be knitting it all the time, and I'm just really enjoying the experience of knitting it. So highly recommend that pattern. I do have one more cast on to talk about that I've cast on since the last episode. So I wanted to cast something on to work on while I'm away, because I kind of don't have, I have like socks on the needles, but I don't really have a good like stockinette sitting around chatting kind of knitting project, which is kind of what I need for like visiting family and stuff this weekend. So I wanted to cast something on because sometimes you just don't feel like knitting a sock. Like I love sock knitting, don't get me wrong, but I don't always want to knit a sock. So I did cast something on, and it's just this little tiny cast on. It is actually really tiny. I have a small head, it's fine. So I'm using, the yarn I'm using is Retrosaria Mondine. Just moving the yarn so you can see the gorgeous ball band art. I love the ball band art for Mondine. and it's in this amazing, it's one of those colors that just never shows up properly on camera. It's a really blue fluoro highlightery kind of pink. It always comes up quite a bit warmer on camera than it is in real life, but it is so lovely. And even though this is kind of designed to be like a sock yarn, when I saw this color, I knew I wanted this color to be a hat. And I've had the pattern is the Hipster Hat by Petite Knits, and I've had this pattern. I've purchased it ages ago. Must have been for something else that I ended up using, whatever. But it's just a 2x2 ribbed hat. But the reason that I actually went and purchased it was because I think I have mentioned on the podcast before, but I'm really fussy about crown decreases on hats. So whenever I see a hat pattern that I want to knit, usually always in the actual pattern photos, like the professional released by the designer photos, they'll be, it'll look good, but I always then will go to the Ravelry project pages and have a look at everyone's Ravelry projects and see what the crown decreases actually look like from just everyday knitters. And sometimes they're just a little bit, I don't know exactly what I like, but I know what I don't like. And sometimes they're a bit like pointy, or they just don't look right. And so I went through, I was looking for just kind of an easy ribbed hat for a lightweight, like a fingering weight yarn. And all of the projects kind of from everybody, everyone's crown decreases looked really great. So that's why I kind of went ahead with this pattern. I'm really sorry, like the video quality is not great, but grainy podcast or no podcast, I prefer a grainy one. So I've only done this tiny bit. I just cast it on last night just to have for when I go away, because 2x2 rib, and you just kind of do 2x2 rib for forever, and then the decreases. So yeah, I did do a tubular cast on, which the pattern just says use whatever cast on you want, and I went for a tubular cast on. Got quite a good stretch with it. And also from what I meant to say when I was originally talking about this hat was the first time I've done a tubular cast on for 2x2 rib, because the tubular cast on method is typically in 1x1 rib, and then you just, all you have to do is just rearrange the stitches. So it's not rocket science. I've just never done it before. And so I did it for the beret, was really stoked with how it turned out, because I wasn't sure with how with moving the stitches it would end up looking, but yeah, I was really happy. So I did that again. You can't really see, but it looks really good. So I'm really happy with that, and it is looking like a little bit tiny, but also it's 2x2 ribs, so it is going to stretch, and you do want your hats to be secure, so I'm just rolling with it. Yeah, it'll be a really good thing to have on my needles when I'm away. So that is the Hipster Hat by Petite Knits in Retrosaria Mondim, and I'm using 3.5mm needles, which is the recommended needle size, and yeah, just from my Lickit interchangeable set. So very happy with that. Looking forward to hopefully getting quite a bit done on that this weekend. But obviously if I don't, it's because I'm like talking to my family, which is important as well. So I do have one more project I want to talk about, and I believe I touched on this last time, but it is Kanga Kiwi Knit Along season, which is, the Kanga Kiwi Knit Along is a really great knit along run by the Wool Gathering in Australia. And it's just a knit along where you knit a project designed by a designer from Australia or New Zealand in yarn that originates from Australia or New Zealand, and it's a really fun community knit along. Everyone is super interactive. I did it last year. I knit my Uradla shawl by Jess Gore of the Sweater Collective in Millpost Merino in the beautiful apricot colourway. And I love that project, but I really loved participating in the knit along. It was a really fun one. So I'm really stoked to do it again this year, and kickoff is tomorrow. So I think I kind of teased last time that I did have an idea of what I wanted to make, but I decided on what I knew I would decide on. I knew I wanted to knit a shawl because, as you may remember from a few episodes ago, I said I did want to knit more shawls this year because the shawls I have I wear all the time and I love, but I don't have very many. So the yarn that I'm using is the leftovers from my lady slipper top. So because when I was knitting that top, I didn't know exactly, I didn't know which pattern I was going to use, which I ordered yarn for a few pounds. Sorry, I'm having like a shadow on my face from, you can see from my monstera plant that is holding my camera up, is like casting this shadow. Scooch over a little bit. But anyway, so when I ordered the yarn, there were a couple of patterns that I was ordering yarn for, and I wasn't sure which yarn I was going to use for which pattern. So I ended up with way too much yarn for my lady slipper top, but it's going to be perfect for this project. So it is Fibersmith hand dyed, which is a yarn shop in Melbourne. It's linen alpaca silk blend in the colorway haystack. God, that, excuse me, I'm just going to move a plant. That's better. I don't have a weird shadow. So here's the beautiful yarn from Fibersmith in the colorway haystack. So this is a full skein that I didn't even dip into. And then I also have, because I alternated skeins, I have these little yarn babies. So these are the little bits I have left over as well, and that all comes together to be more than enough to knit the shawl I want to knit, which is the Beeswax Shawl by Amy Vanderlaar. It's a pattern, it came out about 12 months ago and it was super popular for very good reason. It's absolutely amazing. It's a beautiful kind of hexagonal textured pattern, and the shawl just looks really, really beautiful. I've loved it since it came out, and I feel like this is going to be the perfect yarn. It's going to be really, really drapey. And I think this yarn and that pattern are going to go together. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm tripping over myself. The yarn and the pattern are going to go together really beautifully. The knit alongs for about 6 weeks, so a shawl this size is a pretty manageable project for that time. And if I'm not a walking corpse on my 6 o'clock flight tomorrow morning, I may even cast it on the plane. That would be very fun, which my idea of fun anyway. Whack on a creepy podcast and do some fun casting on. So yeah, it's a really fun knit along. I really encourage you, especially if you're a Southern Hemisphere babe, to get in on it. It's just really fun. Everyone's really friendly. Everyone knits some really cool stuff. So yeah, it's a really great knit along. So I'm really excited to be participating again this year. So that is all of the knitting I have to talk about this week, and this is going to be end on a bit of a bummer, but I just wanted to very quickly acknowledge the white supremacist nonsense that has been going on mainly YouTube and Instagram in the knitting community. I did talk a bit about the kind of original issue of racism 2 weeks ago, but in the last couple of days it's just really escalated, with quite a prominent member of the community feeling, ooh, it's a big truck, feeling safe and comfortable to post a video spouting some hardcore white supremacist nonsense, which is, it's horrific. And for all the people of colour who saw that video and have been forced to witness the response, I'm so sorry. I can't apologise enough. But I definitely did want to acknowledge it in this episode, because that's kind of one of the tools that the kind of alt-right has built into their white supremacist nonsense, is that there's kind of this silent majority of white racists out there. And I mean, if we look at the recent US presidential elections and the way that people in Australia vote, like, it's not that far off the truth that a lot of people are willing to protect their own privilege and their own benefits at the expense of people of colour and people who are different to them. So I just didn't want to be silent on that. I don't want to buy into or play into any of those games. I am going to link below a couple of Instagrammers who have done a lot of really great labour in their stories, unpacking some of the language that is used by white supremacists online to kind of gather, and kind of like their little buzzwords that they use to signal to each other that that's who they are. I think it's disgusting that people feel safe enough in these horrific beliefs to just talk about them and don't feel like they have to be ashamed of them, which they should be ashamed of those beliefs. And once again, to everyone who was hurt by all the stuff that's going on, I'm so sorry, and I don't want you to ever think, I don't want people to I hate that people have to think about everyone, you know, is this person a secret Nazi? But that's how it is. And if you don't say something, people don't know. And there are certain people that I follow online that I'm noticing that they're very quiet on this, and it makes me nervous because the person in question, there were a lot of warning signs that this was how she saw the world, and I had noticed the warning signs and I'd chosen to ignore them, and that's on me. Like, you don't want to assume that people are a Nazi, but sometimes people just are. And yeah, the warning signs were definitely there. I definitely ignored them. That's on me. That's my fault. And if you are still following her or other people who are supporting her and agreeing with her, even if it's just for like a hate follow, I highly recommend that you just click that unfollow button. Do not click on any of their stuff. Do not give them any more views, any more clicks, any more hits. And yeah, look for people who are doing really good work to dismantle this kind of stuff that's going on. Look for people who are really doing that hard work, who are saying something, and support those people. So, because that's kind of how we win. Because it's not enough to just like put out positive vibes and hope for the best. We need to be active in creating the community that we want. So also, if you see any comments, I'd recommend reporting the account of the person who's making them. It doesn't work. The algorithm and a lot of the ways that the reporting system in these apps work, they do favour white supremacists, so that's something to be aware of. But definitely I would say look for the people doing good work, look for the people saying something, and just give your support and your time and your double taps to those people. And once again, my heartfelt apologies. It breaks my heart that anyone could ever think that by the freak accident of their birth and the colour of the skin that they have, they are somehow more valuable than anyone else. So that's a bit of a stone cold bummer to end the podcast on, but I did want to acknowledge that, and yeah, it's not okay to be a white supremacist. But if you, bit of a gear shift, but please let me know in the comments below what you're knitting at the moment. Are you participating in the Kangakiwi knit along or any other knit alongs? If you are, let me know. I'd love to connect with you on Instagram and Ravelry, so please come over and say hi. And once again, thank you so much for taking the time to spend with me today chatting about knitting. Now, it's a bit of a different location. I didn't do show notes, so I was a bit all over the place, and it'll be interesting when I get this on my computer to see just how grainy the footage is, but I did still just want to touch base with all of you, and I think, yes, better a grainy podcast than no podcast. So thank you so much. Take care, look after yourself, look after your friends, and keep well until I see you next time. Bye!